go. Okay. I call to order the certification of a quorum of the regular meeting of the City of Aransas Pass City Council, April 21st, 2025, at 6 p.m. Let's all rise for the pledge of allegiance and invocation.
Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Give the mayor, city council leaders, city staff the wisdom so that they may solve problems, distinguish between right and wrong, and bring order, stability, and prosperity to our community. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
Flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Okay, now we're gonna go to Mary for announcements.
Yes. Under
What is that about?
Under announcements, we have two items. The first one is the tourism-friendly Texas Certified Community designation. The city received notification last week that we received the recognition of a tourism-friendly Texas Certified Community. This is a program from the governor's office. It's very exciting news for the city of Aransas Pass to be named a tourist-friendly community. At the June 2nd council meeting, there will be representatives from the governor's office to officially present this designation to the city. So that'll happen at the June 2nd meeting. And then the other announcement is that our next workshop or discussion session will be on May 5th, and we have one item for discussion at that meeting, and that's the Unified Development Code. So those are the only two items.
Okay. Okay, now we're gonna go to citizen comments. Okay, and the first one is Will Gardner.
Okay, I'm just going to simply read a poster y'all have it in the lobby. If you have a concern with how you've been treated and believe your fair housing rights have been violated, there's a local process for reporting your complaint. Your local contact is Romero Gomez, title mayor. Then it does all this. So I've sat here and seen people come up here and complain that they've been discriminated against, stuff like that, or the housing committee. But y'all told them that's not our problem. But you got a poster out there saying, y'all, you, Mr. Gomez, is the one responsible for that. Thank you.
Now we're gonna go to Frank Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, for listening to me. My subject tonight is very simple. I don't care who's sitting up there. You all need to act like a business. I stood here in the last 7, 8 months. You all gave away $10,000 to paint a sign, $11,000 to put a band in. You all had hired someone to find a new city manager. You know, I remember that one was $12,000, $14,000. Then you have a city employee up here begging, we need to buy a used 4-wheel drive truck so we can use it in the alleys. Now, why as a city needs to buy a used truck, I don't know. The problem is y'all need to sit up there and run it like a business. If I'm gonna give you $10,000, when am I gonna get my return? What proof I've got that I'm getting something back from the city's $10,000? If you're in business for yourself and you want a backhoe, you can't just go buy a backhoe. First of all, you say, okay, that backhoe is $70,000. How long is it going to take me to recoup my loss for that backhoe? If you did it the way y'all doing, that contract would be broken in a couple months. So everything y'all give away, you need to find out what's your return. Okay, y'all pay $11,000 for that band next door for spring break. Okay? Have anybody checked the hotel taxes, see if they increased? Did anybody text the restaurant's costs, see if that increased? Did y'all get your $11,000 back? You just can't give out money without getting a return. You can't do it. You'll be broken years. You know? Now, if that lady was here 2 years ago and did the same thing, and you said, yes, we were very successful, let's do it again. But y'all just give the money away. You can't do that. You got to run it like a business. You got to run every dime you give away. I respect the fact why you gave it away, but without getting a proof, if you're getting a return, you're just giving out free money. So please, try to think about where the money's going, what kind of return we're going to get on it, because we're giving away city tax dollars. Part of them is yours, part is ours. So please, just consider that. Thank you.
Now we're gonna go to Richard Titus.
Hello, Mayor, City Council, everybody knows me. This is what I have to say today. The City Council's members on this panel that care, as well as the ones that don't, and the ones that don't, you know who you are. And to all of the people up there in that camera that watch your phones, don't have the cojones to come up here and voice your opinions, complaints, gripes, and bitches to these panel members, it doesn't do any good. They don't watch and listen to your phone and read Facebook. Come up here. Let's have a town hall meeting. Tell these people. Come show them. Overload this building. Show them what's really the problem. I thought the last meeting was talk about and discuss the issues of the fees, fines, and the conditional use permits. But it seems that it would take too long to handle business at hand and will be discussed at the next meeting. Well, if it's going to take too long in one meeting, it's going to take too long at all the meetings. Let's see here. Okay. We're all trying to sit here and have all this stuff in front of our community as I speak. Stop talking about it on Facebook. I was talking to those people, and come to these meetings. There are only 2 people on this panel that care, and the other 3 we know that don't. All know who they are. That's for their personal reasons and not the entire community. So now that you know, oh, and this is to you, Mr. Joe. Since you're a no-show blow Joe, you sit on this panel to serve the community, to solve problems, not start problems like you did with me on my conditional use permit, sir, and it took place in my face right here outside of Mary's office. And you can't say you didn't because you told me to my face. You have no business sitting in that chair, and there's a couple other people that don't have any business sitting in that chair. I don't even have to say any more about that because you know you did it. And that following day, I had a meeting with Brenda and found out why you were also at the Planning and Zoning office and Permits office that day, talking with some other people there. You know, this is like I said, I should be grandfathered in. I've already been building my house for 3 years. I have a serious bone disease, osteomyelitis now. I have a broken neck and I still work on my house and bust my arse to take care of this house. And I sure hope you don't put a disabled senior citizen out on the streets because of a conditional use permit that I didn't have to pay anything for before, and now you're wanting to charge me $1,000 because of retaliation, probably about no-show Joe here. Anyway, I could sit here and keep reading. I'm already so angry at this situation, and there's only 2 people up here that care about this panel, and you're sure not one of them, Joe.
Okay, now we're gonna go to Kelly. Oh, my gosh.
Hi, my name is Kelly Volmering. My mother-in-law moved into the Aransas Pass Housing Authority a year ago. She, years ago, was a crime victim, had her neck broken. She's about this tall, 105 pounds soaking wet. And Around the 20th of March, she had asked for a replacement key. She lost her key. And it took her over a week to get that key. However, it was attached to a $45 fee. Now, I'll be talking about that at the Housing Authority meeting next week. I have met already with Chairman Thacker, and he assures me he is doing an investigation. But I thought I better come introduce myself because when I tried to make a complaint about what happened after I got off the phone with Miss Christina Baird, who I guess we're all familiar with, a little too familiar with, because when I posed a question about who is this person, anybody had an experience, I actually 24 hours later on Facebook won an award for the #1 contributor to the Aransas Pass community page because so many people had things to say about this woman. This woman who decided she wasn't going to take the fee and decided to get my mother-in-law the keys she'd been waiting over a week for, then came for no reason at all to her home, barged in, and thankfully I was still there. I wasn't supposed to be there, and she knew that, and I will tell you she knew that. So I'm a little worried she thought she'd be by herself. My mother-in-law is disabled. She is covered by the American Disabilities Act. She's also poor. You know, it says in the Proverbs 20:31, those who oppress the poor are a disappointment to the Lord. Well, they're a disappointment to me too, but what's really a disappointment to me is that I feel like this never should have happened. She came in, and not since basic training 1990 have I had somebody's finger in my face like this. And she was yelling and screaming at my mother-in-law and calling her a liar. And all of that being said, that was my complaint. But what I found was the complaint was nearly impossible to make. There are no systems in place. The website doesn't even say the correct information about when the meetings are. And I found that puzzling. I had to track down the chairman at his business. Took me 3 tries. And a nice guy. And he is saying that he's looking into this, and I choose to believe him until I see otherwise. My point is this, though. I learned a lot on those threads, but what else started happening was residents started reaching out to me, a resident who's just not going away until there is a consequence for this. Because there is a rule that was passed, it's a finalized rule under the Fair Housing Act. It was passed September 16, 2016, and it says that anyone, it's called the Quid Pro Quo Retaliatory Act, and it says a rule. And it says you can't do what she did. That's against the law, and it's a violation of that. And I thank you for this, but I want you to know, if you're her friend and you're protecting her, I'd get a new friend. She's not appropriate, and it's well known. Clearly, this can sometimes be a thankless job for you, and I sympathize with you, I do. This woman should not be in this position, and there are people in the freest state in the union who are afraid to come talk to you and afraid to go to that meeting next week because they're afraid they're going to lose their housing because what she does is retaliate. And I believe that that is known far more than just the residents and me learning it the hard way. And I need you to care about that. You know, I'm prior military, my husband is. I've been an educator forever. He was a firefighter, and I guess in those positions, you kind of run to instead of away. That's very much me. I'll drive to Washington to make this complaint if I have to. I don't want to. I'd really love to go back to my very private life. I will not do that until there is a consequence, and one that is fitting for the reputation that this woman has. She is inappropriate, she is vile, she is loud, she is mean, and I am very concerned that she intended very much for my mother-in-law to be there by herself. And I just want you to care about that enough to fix it. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your
Ma'am, did you say, did you say that you were not supposed to be there? Why?
Because we had agreed that she was not going to assess the fee. I was asking questions like, I've never heard about $45 for access, but maybe subsidized housing is different and stuff like this, and it made her
Can you please
go,
respond
well.
to her and whose job it is to take care of her problems
Well,
first? Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is it okay
Yeah,
that
no.
I continue?
I
Yeah,
want her
that's
to
what I
say-
wanted.
I want her to say
Yeah,
something.
let me just say that, well, first of all, thank you for your comments. But I did want to say, just to provide factual information, The city has no jurisdiction over the housing authority. They're an entity that's separate and apart from the city. The only involvement that the city has is that the mayor appoints the board members. That's
yes.
the only involvement. Now, any complaints, the housing authority falls under the Housing and Urban Development.
Right.
And they're out of San Antonio.
So it's interesting that you bring that up, and you're totally right, which I have learned the hard way again, right? A lot of work. But the regional director was here over a year ago and said, we don't have the authority to get rid of her, but you should, because this is appalling behavior.
She's appointed by the board.
I understand that completely, and I know that the board is appointed by the mayor. And Mr. Mayor, I turned in an application for that vacant seat.
I make a recommendation and the whole council votes on it.
Okay, and I understand that. What I'm saying is, as a city council who is supposed to liaison, right, between the people and the municipality, there's got to be something that can be done. This is a woman with a job, and I am telling you, so to answer your question, and then I'll finish up, I don't want to take more time, but we had agreed that I would pick up the storage key that would not be coming with the new keys this time. And she was sending over the maintenance guy to change the locks because they had just moved her. She had finally acquiesced to move. They had just moved her. Well, she has severe arthritis and her hands were somewhat paralyzed. And so they needed to do the doorknobs anyway. She agreed to do that and get rid of the fee, which was, by the way, 5% of my mother-in-law's total income. So what I said to her on the phone, which we weren't fighting on the phone, but what I said was, she can't pay the $45, but if I pay $45, I want sets of keys, because that's ridiculous. Everybody who buys keys knows. But our agreement was, she's not going to do that. She's not going to do the fee this time. She is done this time, whatever. I thanked her, it was done. We were expecting my mother-in-law was expecting the maintenance guy, and Jackie, who then quit on Tuesday because the backlash of this was awful. I highly suggest that you guys get a hold of Jackie's resignation letter. I think it'll tell you a lot. This is a woman with a job. Has a job as a civil servant, but I know that the city of Aransas Pass gets subsidies in these people's names. There's a protected class of people. There's got to be something that can be done about this lady. And like I said, I have friends, but if I had a friend who was inappropriate and unprofessional and putting my city at risk in terms of violating federal law, I'd get a new friend. And I would cut bait. And that's what I want you to do. Whoever is her friend, please cut bait. She's not worth it. And it's awful. It is awful. My mother-in-law is elderly and disabled and has paralyzed hands. And this woman, I mean, y'all know who this is. She's bigger than this. It wasn't right. And that's, Mr. Haskins, why I wasn't supposed to be there.
Thank you, and I'll be in touch with you.
Okay, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much.
Nobody
for your
else is
time.
going to take care of it, I will.
It's also discrimination, ma'am.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, Andy?
Andy Davila, Aransas Pass, Texas. And I also came to talk about some of what's going on at the Housing Authority. And Ms. City Manager, no disrespect at all, ma'am, but with all the complaints that she's been getting and what I've been looking into, and 2-3 years ago, people started getting with me on that. You start talking about politics in certain places, or you're involved with people at the Housing Authority or wherever you're at, people are going to start telling you the subjects that are going around you, right? So these people started talking to me even then about this lady and what's going on way before now. So you're talking all those years up to now, there's been nothing but complaints on how she is and how rude she is, and the employees that she's had and disrespected, and the racial comments that she's made to these Hispanic employees that they're not there no more. They don't last very long because of how she is. So I've been digging into that. I'm going to continue digging into that. If I get on board with you and you say you're going to dig into this, well, I started already, and if it got on, well, I'm not going to let this go. I'm going to keep digging. And then it was also said that that you just put them in there. I don't know if you've heard any of the complaints that's been going on with these people, But if I'm sitting on the board, I would hope somebody would come and tell me what's going on there, because these people have no voice. They've never been heard. If I heard it from years ago and you haven't, you shook your head that you haven't, then they don't have a voice, and it's not your fault. I'm just saying that they don't have a voice, and they need to be heard, because they're just like anybody in here. They just so happen they ended up there for certain reasons, handicaps, or for whatever reason, they're there. Now, I don't know how much time I got, but I could continue on this, but there's a lady that lives on that one side off of the South 13th Street, not on the bigger section, that section on the other side. And if you drive all the way back to the back, there's a lady I was speaking to back there. She lives almost in the middle of all these other apartments that are unlivable. I don't know where all that money went with that, because they got the FEMA money in 2020, 2021, and they were working on them like crazy, and all of a sudden, boom. But anyway, all those apartments if I'm looking at it this way, all those apartments on the left side and all the apartments on the right side, they're a mess. She's clear in the middle. I've been out there when it's dark here recently, and it's her and her daughter. She was asking for a light, right? Some kind of lighting back there. You could tell where the homeless sit back there. They sleep back there. If you walk to those dark areas back there, you can tell. Some of that clothes is still there. It might be picked up by now. But the lady there told me that they've gone through there and they picked up clothes in there before. So if you could do somebody look into that, y'all want to get together, we can go back there and look. Well, she talked for 5 minutes after. I just need a few more seconds.
The 3 minutes are up.
She spoke for 5,
That's
6,
okay.
7.
Okay. We're going to go to Alyssa now.
I'm actually going to speak on an agenda item. Do I need to wait till y'all speak on the agenda?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Okay, Dennis. Where'd Dennis go?
Back there. Mr. Peacock.
Dennis
not
Peacock.
here.
Oh, you don't have your hearing aids on.
My name is Dennis Peacock, and I'm concerned from a standpoint of having been on the charter provisions that were. I noticed that this consideration of the council member being the main decider, I don't think we voted that way. I think we voted to have the council serve as budget decision maker, not for a singular. So that's my only concern, the budget. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to staff reports.
All the staff reports, and we have the investment report, they're submitted in a written format.
Okay, now we're going to go to the consent agenda, which is consideration of approving the April 2nd, 2025 special meeting minutes. Consideration of approving the April 7th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Did we missed 6B, the second quarter investment report? Is that going to be?
Well, no, what I said was that they're both provided in written form.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you. All right, sorry. All right, so make a motion to consider the approval of the April 2nd and April 7th meetings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're going to go to action items, which is consider designating a council member to serve on the City Budgets Review Committee
Yes,
for the
and I
fiscal
believe,
year.
Mayor, you asked that we remove this item from the agenda until the election. So we'll
Yeah.
bring it back
And that'll
after.
be A and B.
Oh, you want to remove both of them?
Yes.
All right, okay, then we'll remove the second item as well.
Okay, and I think that's what they had comments on, wanted to comment on.
Um,
Okay, now we're going to go into consideration of awarding hotel occupancy tax hot funds for the year 2025 to organizations who submitted applications through the filing deadline of March 31st, 2025.
Yes, earlier this year, the council approved a process, excuse me, for accepting, for organizations to request hot funds. and they set a deadline of March 31st, 2025. Excuse me. We received a total of 7 applications. The applications were reviewed by Sandra for eligibility, and we did seek the guidance of an attorney from the Texas Hotel and Lodging Association. Under Chapter 351 of the Tax Code, it states that the revenue from hot funds may only be used to promote tourism and the hotel industry. So we just need to keep that in mind. All of the applications that were submitted fall into, there's a total of 9 categories, but all of the applications that we submitted fall under the categories of either signage, advertising, arts, sporting event, or shuttle and transportation. We have 3 organizations that submitted requests under the category of arts. Under the guidelines that we have to comply with, there is a cap of 15% on the arts, and it's 50% based on the prior year collections. So the remaining funds available to distribute under the arts category is $3,925. So we did receive, like I said, 3 organizations did request funds under the arts category. So my recommendation would be is to divide, should the council decide to award these organizations, is to divide it by 3, meaning that would come out to $1,308 for the arts category. Now, under the sports category, I believe there's 2 organizations. Under the, the sports category, what we were told is that we were trying to determine what was a sport. And what we were told is the sports category is at the discretion of the council. So if the council declares this event to be a sport event, then it's declared to be a sport event.
Mary, I don't mean to interrupt you or nothing, but I'm confused on which ones you're talking about, because none of these say that. If you have them numbered, though.
Yes, I haven't started talking about them.
You're going to go at each one of them?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
I'm just doing an overview. And the last thing, before we start talking about the applications, is the balance that we have available to award is $288,011. That's the balance. So now we can start with the first one. Well, first let me say that Mr. Hector Rios, he submitted 3 requests. He is not able to be here, so he asked if his request can be he'll come at the May 5th meeting. If we could move his request to the May 5th meeting. So if the council's okay, that's requests 2, 3, and 4. Those are his requests. But I did want to add that one of those requests, let me pull it.
Number 4.
Is number 4, okay. That request, he indicates that the event will be in Schertz, Texas. I did notify him that event did not qualify for hot funds. So that event will not come to council on May 5th. Okay, so then we can start with the first one. The first one was submitted by Destination Aransas Pass, and the event is the 5th Annual Saltwater Mardi Gras 2026 event. They are requesting a total of $7,500, and that falls under the category of advertising. So their request is for $7,500. And I do know that Ms. Spinks is here, should you have any questions.
Yeah, come on up. So, do you know what the actual budget for the advertising was this past event?
Not directly,
No.
just on that, no.
Okay.
I do know that what the cost for the whole event, and then what we make a profit for, yes, ma'am.
I can add that there is a requirement that after the event, they are required to
Yes.
submit a post-event report.
Right.
So at that time, they will specify, all of their costs.
Okay.
And Rosemary did say she would turn that in and everything, so.
This $7,500 is going to be for advertising only?
That's basically what it'd be for the promotion of the new location that we're having it down there at Combrown Harbor, with via print, digital, social media. It's also going to be, it will be majority of it for that, but it's going to be promoting to bring in more musicians, more entertainment, more stuff like that to promote the event.
Okay, you got a total budget of $20,000, so you just need $7,500 for advertising, correct, and paying off some of the other bills?
What the $20,000 is what we average, what we make in the event. And then, of course, with all the expenses and everything that does go out, usually what we keep is around $8,000. So that's why we're asking for the $7,500 to help with the expense.
Okay, and if we authorize you to have this money in return, can we have, what she said was the breakdown of what you
Oh, of
spent for it,
course.
plus all the receipts for it also?
Of course.
Okay,
Most definitely.
yeah, just the breakdown and receipts is all I require.
Not a problem.
Does the council want to act on each one individually, or do you want to do it at the end? I think that'd be the easiest way to handle it, if y'all are okay with that.
That's fine with me.
I want all of them.
Are y'all good with 5,000?
I don't,
That's fine. Rosemary said that's
okay,
You good with 5,000?
okay. I didn't know that answer, sorry.
So do we make a motion?
Do you want to act on each one individually, or do you want to just go through all of them and then come back?
Each one individually is
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. I make a motion to grant Destination AP $5,000 for advertising for their Saltwater Mardi Gras 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
So then we are not acting on 2, 3, or 4. So then the next one is Fish Fest. I believe Ms. Slaughter, okay, yes, Donnie's here. So Fish Fest, this event is June the 6th through the 8th, and they are requesting $15,000. They are requesting $5,000 for advertising, and they did submit a budget for $3,000, but they are asking for $5,000. Again, they are at 30 days after the event, they will submit a budget. So if they'll submit the receipts at that time. They're also asking for $2,500 under the arts. This is the one that has a cap, so I would recommend $1,308 under the arts. They're saying this is a sporting event, and they're asking for $5,000 for sporting. And then they're also asking for $2,500 for signage. Under the signage, the way the law reads is that we can award money for signage, but it has to be a permanent sign. This is not a permanent sign. It's a temporary sign for this event. So, and I know Mr. Donnie
Yes.
is here to ask any to answer any questions.
Curious as to why you put it under sports. What
we have
qualifies it to be sports?
We have a long distance cast off. We also have an accuracy cast off. We award cash and prizes. We bring people from out of town that competed in this event, in both events last year. And we do the fishing tournament for the kids, where this year we're going to give not cash, but prizes for every type of species of fish. We're expecting a much larger crowd this year. Last year we just did sheep's head, perch. This year we're extending to any type of fish brought in. We're going to award the prizes for biggest fish, and we plan on using it to extensively advertise out of town and bring in tourism from out of town this year.
Okay, that answered that.
Just a minute, please, let me look at this. So the signage, the 2,500 signage can't go anyway because it's not a permanent
It's
sign?
not a permanent sign, no, sir.
So that's out. You said they add 5,000 for advertising and the actual cost was only 3,000.
I believe we spent about $6,000, but some of the costs are hard to figure. It was donated cost, so actual cost were going to be different than what's listed on the paperwork. I believe I have Just on Facebook, we spent $3,000 on advertisement just on Facebook alone.
I'm just going off of what you put on here. It says actual cost was only $3,000. It doesn't add anything else.
Right. We put a lot of signage. Of course, she says that may not qualify, but we had T-shirts printed. We did a lot of stuff additionally to the Facebook advertisement. We had 2 radio stations. One was $2,500 in advertisement alone. We were on a TV show. We did a pretty good job at advertising. We'd like to even do better this year and extend that to San Antonio, Houston, Austin area.
Donnie, I don't have any problem with what you're asking for except for the signage. It's up to everybody else, but that's looking at $12,500 total instead of the $15,000.
We would gladly appreciate it, all the help we can get.
If the council does the $5,000 for advertising, for the arts, it would be 1308, because that's one of the ones that's under
Oh, that's
cap. And then the sporting at 5,000, that would be a total of 11,308.
What was the one for 5,000, the sporting
I'm
events?
looking at something different, sorry. I'm looking at, me personally, I think on the advertisement, I'm looking at 2,500. Of course, on the arts, it can only be 1,308. And 2,500 on the sporting events, which is $6,500. That's what I recommend.
I'm sorry, can you explain to me where you got the 2,500? I don't know where.
2,500 for advertising,
Uh-huh.
1,308 for the arts, and 2,500 for the sporting event.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? What's the favor of the council?
That's fine with me.
65.
I make a motion to award the Fish Fest $6,500 from the hot tax.
6508.
6,508, you're right. Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, the next event is also, it's Salsa Fest. Now, this event already occurred. This event occurred back in November of 2024. It's a request from DNA Productions, and it was for their Salsa Fest. They requested funds in the amount of $18,000, $6,000 for advertising, but we showed that they actually, their actual cost was $3,824. They also requested $6,000 for the arts, but that item is capped at 1,308. $3,000 for it being a sporting event, and $3,000 for signage, but we know that does not qualify.
Can't do that. Is this past money?
Yes, it is.
So what do you put as a sporting event here?
From what we understand, a salsa competition is considered a sporting event. People compete.
Cook off or whatever, okay.
Yes.
All right.
The cap on the promotion of the arts was the 1,308.
Yes, sir.
What is the cap on number 1 and number 3?
There's no, the only one that has a cap is the arts.
The arts, okay. But you're asking for 6,000 and you only spent 3,824?
Well, actually, we had, out of pocket, we spent that amount, but we actually, advertising, like I said, we were on several radio stations and many billboards that we had donated, about 11 billboards we put up around town that I donated, and 2 radio stations. We were on a television network for that show also, and we were on the news.
But those were donated?
Yes.
Well, again, I recommend $3,000 for advertising, the $1,308 for the promotion of the arts, and $1,500 for the sporting events, which actually comes to $5,808, but we can round it up to $6,000.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
The next one is, the event is Smoke on the Water. The request was submitted by Redford Ranch Foundation. They are requesting grant funds in the amount of $10,000, $6,000 for advertising, and $4,000 for the arts, but that's capped at 1308.
I guess we could be a sporting event too, though.
I can't hear you.
So we could be a sporting event too if you want. We're cooking too. But
Where did you get the $6,000 at, Doug?
I'm sorry,
Where did you get the $6,000 at?
for the advertising?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's a rough estimate of what I've been able to have donated over the past 2 years. So our event's a little hard to budget. Sometimes we have sponsors who would either give us funds directly or pay for the item directly. And my three biggest costs are advertising, prize money, and a tent. And those are the biggest costs that I have at the event. And ours is obviously not a for-profit event, you know. Every money, all the money we get in sponsors is the more money that we make for the organization. And we also distribute a portion of those funds to different organizations within the community as well.
My confusion is this: if they're donating all of this stuff to you, why do you need money? Are you gonna? You're not paying back the donations back.
It's not guaranteed. So I possibly have a sponsor for the prize money, so I might not have to spend money on that. But those are things that take time to negotiate. So right now I have to set a budget for the event, and this is what I need to accomplish it, assuming I get no sponsors. I have 2 sponsors committed from last year. I'm just waiting to hear on amounts that they're going to give, and then I'll be able to make some more plans on as far as how that will.
Just a suggestion, and we got till September. Why don't you get your people, sponsors, and all of that lined up, and the people that are going to donate to you, and what you need left over, come to us and ask for it.
Because that's not how the process works. I just had to turn in the application by March 31st to ask for it.
Yeah, I know. That kind of makes it a little difficult.
That was the deadline we had, so.
Yeah. That's, I don't know about this one.
Yeah.
All right.
So we've done that with no billboards. Like basically, we've only had radio. I spent the organization like $1,200 on Facebook, and that's the only advertising that we've paid for, with the exception of radio and the news stories that was done in our organization. So if I was able to put up billboards out of town, and last year we brought in 2,000 people from out of town. So, but that's without no billboards. If I was able to buy some billboards out of town, you know, and I can hustle to try to get some of those donated, and then I can repurpose those funds, you know. But that's not something I can guarantee until now. It's something we're starting to work on.
Recommendation?
Yeah, I recommend 3,000 for advertising, 3,000 for the arts, and you didn't have the sporting events in there,
I'm
but it's
sorry,
definitely.
Figure it out.
The arts is capped at
Oh,
13.
I'm sorry, arts is 1308, I'm sorry. Arts is 1308, so if it is a sporting event, so my recommendation would be 2,000 for the sporting event, making that, oh gosh, now I gotta refigure.
6308.
6308. 6308.
Are we just going to call it a sporting events and add to this because that's not on here? I'm just asking.
We can do that. We
Can we
can
do
add that it's a sporting event.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so 6308.
Is that your
Okay
motion?
with that?
Yeah.
That's my motion.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna go to consideration of approving an ordinance updating the city's drought contingency plan.
So the city of Corpus Christi recently updated the drought contingency plan. And because of that, the San Patricio Municipal Water District was obligated to adopt a new plan. And because we're a wholesale customer, per the district's contract, we're requesting to have our plan consistent with the city of Corpus Christi. Mel Snyder is here to give an overview of the changes, and Mr. Williams with the San Pat Municipal Water District is also here, should you have any questions.
Good evening, everybody. So you have the red line version in front of you. Our plan does mirror San Patricio Water District because that is who we get our water from. Brian Williams from San Patricio is here. If you want to come on up, Mr. Williams. If y'all have any questions, he could be able to assist you with that, or I myself. if there's anything that y'all would like to ask.
Go ahead.
Mayor, Council, glad to be here this evening. I'm not sure if y'all want me to talk about the process a little bit, or what y'all would like to hear, or...
When we're gonna have water again? My boat's dirty.
Pray for rain. That's
It
what
did
we
rain
do.
today.
Pray for rain.
Not in the right
I'm
place,
praying
though.
for rain.
It rained, but not in the right place.
Right, well, you need it up in the watershed. I mean, don't get me wrong, I
Yeah,
enjoy
yeah,
it here
Mathis
because my
and
plants
stuff.
enjoy it, but we also do need it in the watershed as well, because that's where our water is coming from, is Lake Corpus Christi and Choke Canyon.
Want to give us a very short, condensed
Yeah, a
update?
very condensed one.
And City Manager, Ms. Juarez, I think probably gave kind of the quick background, but every 5 years, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality requires you to update your drought contingency plan. So the City of Corpus Christi was due to update theirs about a year or so ago. They finally got it approved, a new one, on March the 18th of 2025. So that kind of started the domino effect. Our contract with the City of Corpus Christi, since we get all of our raw and treated water from the city, requires us to have a drought contingency plan consistent with the City of Corpus Christi. And then my contract with Aransas Pass requires y'all to have a drought contingency plan consistent with San Patricio Municipal Water District and the City of Corpus Christi. So at our board meeting on April the 8th, we approved or updated a drought contingency plan consistent with Corpus's. So according to the contract, y'all, the city has 30 days to approve something similar. Quickly going through a few things, talk about, of course, we're in drought stage 3 right now. Lake level, the combined lake level, of course, I think as y'all brought up, it's not looking great, around 17%. If you look at the past 2 or 3 years, we just haven't had any rain in the watershed. Very little productivity in the Nueces Basin watershed. So you've continued to see those lakes drop in elevation. Projecting, if we see the rainfall like we have over the last couple of years, which has been next to nothing in the watershed, May of 2025, we could be down to 15%. November, it could be down to 10% in that watershed. And then we're looking out about a year and a half that we could be in what the drought contingency plan will call a water emergency. That's when you have 180 days left of water, but that's in the Nueces Basin. So what is City of Corpus Christi, San Patricio trying to do until we can get some more rain? The city is developing some wells along the Nueces River. The salinity is kind of tough, but it is water. I think that was on the news here a while back, producing about 1.5 million gallons per well. They've drilled 2 wells. They're working with TCEQ to get those permitted so they can put that water in the river for our use and the City of Corpus Christi's use. The Mary Roads pipeline, they had been operating on Schedule 3, which was 55 million gallons a day. They've done some improvements to that pipeline that they're bringing in 70+ million gallons a day from Lake Texana and the Colorado River. So the city's actively trying to do some things, but this is the worst drought that we've seen. I've been down here 13 years and I haven't seen anything like this, that the Nueces Basin not being any more productive than it is. Some of those numbers that I just gave you, if you want to, the City of Corpus Christi, you can go to their website under the Water Wastewater Department. They have a water supply dashboard, and it has some of those projections on how long the water will last in the system. And I kept on talking. I need to mention Doyle Keller is here. He's our board director that represents Aransas Pass on the San Patricio Municipal Water District. So If y'all ever need to get hold of Doyle, he's here.
Make it rain. Make it rain, girl.
But feel free to call me anytime. Feel free to call me anytime. Just kind of mention a couple of things. The drought contingency plan, what it focuses on, or what it is focused on, is reducing the non-essential water uses. So if you look at the drought contingency plan, what it's limiting is watering of grass. I know boats as you move further into the drought stages. I know stage 3 now requires that you cover your pools, swimming pools, but it's focused on non-essential elements of water consumption. So just trying to move quickly. Page 9 of our plan is 10.1 is the water shortage watch. When the water level in the Nueces Basin goes below 50%, you're asked to voluntarily limit your irrigation to once per week, as the water level could continue to go down at 40%, mild water shortage, and that's in stage 1. I guess at that point you're limited to watering your grass to once per week. When it goes below 30%, stage 2, moderate water shortage, just once every other week watering. There are some optional measures that can be instituted at that point. They haven't been up to this point. When it goes below 20%, and that's where we're at right now, the combined lake level's around 17%, you're in stage 3 response, critical water shortage, and some of the things in it, irrigation of turf grass by means shall be prohibited at all times. You can use drip irrigation for foundation. Landscape beds is allowed every other week. Watering of trees, vegetables, shrubs is permitted any day by means of a handheld hose. A person, entity who owns, leases, or manages an outdoor swimming pool shall have approximately 100% of the pool surface covered when not in use. There are some optional measures, and then you move into the water emergency, and that's when you're looking at that 180 days remaining, which I can't remember the date that I said on that, but it's in 2 levels. Level 1 water emergency is tied to the drought. Level 2 emergency is when you had something catastrophic in our system, in your system, that you need to call an emergency. You lose some of your main pumps, that you can't pump water and maintain water pressures in your system. I really think that's kind of going through it really quick, but I'll be glad to try to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank y'all.
time.
Oh, you bet. Anytime.
Mayor, before we move on, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the funding on the saltwater Mardi Gras. If we can go back to that and reconsider that funding.
Okay. Yeah, we need a second to that motion to.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, all in
Is
favor?
there, well, there's a motion and a second to reconsider.
Yes, she made the motion, he seconded.
Now we need to vote on the motion.
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aye.
Take a vote on the motion.
I don't know why you're reconsidering it.
Because we did.
So the motion
Yep,
passes? Who-
all in favor?
Okay.
Okay,
All in favor of the reconsideration?
Aye.
okay.
And the reason I'm,
Me too.
okay.
What
So-
about Mr. Haskins? Is that no? What
Do
is your
what?
vote?
No, I said aye. I
Okay,
just
thank
didn't say it very loud.
Thank you.
Okay. And the reason I'm making this motion to reconsider is because we were giving conditions for our sporting events for the other events, and the saltwater Mardi Gras, we passed over the gumbo cook-off as well.
Okay.
So we're gonna, my recommendation is,
I think you'd probably have to
Make
probably
a
have to
vote,
amend
okay.
it, right?
Yes.
so I want to make a motion to amend the motion To award the saltwater Mardi Gras an extra $1,500 for the sporting event, which would, they're asking for $7,500. This would take them to $6,500.
Okay, so you'll do the 5,000 for advertising and then 1,500 for sporting for a total of 6,500.
Yes,
Okay,
Okay.
that's your motion?
that's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm in favor.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now let's go back to the drought thing. Vote on it.
Oh, drought. I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance updating the city's drought contingency plan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Now we go to consideration of approving the budget amendment to the fiscal year 2025 budget.
Good evening, everyone. Before you is our second budget amendment for the fiscal year. I'm so sorry, let me bring this up on my phone real quick. The fire department received a donation from the Redford Branch Foundation. We filed some insurance claims for some vandalism at the softball complex and the aquatic center. The fire department had a fundraiser, the Fill the Boot, so they received some money for that. They're going to be paying that specific organization. The aquatic center is requesting some funds transferred to their line item to buy some tarps to cover the pools for the 4th of July fireworks show. The council awarded the $11,000 of hot funds to the Civic Center for the concert that was done. And we need to amend their budget. And the police department is purchasing a vehicle through their federal forfeiture account. And therefore, we are amending their budgets respectively to accommodate this. Any questions?
Carrie, if you make the motion, will you also include approving the ordinance for the budget amendment? Just say that, please.
So I make a motion to approve the budget amendment and the ordinance?
The ordinance for the budget amendment.
For the ordinance for the budget amendment to the fiscal year 2025 budget.
Yes, ma'am.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna go to consideration of approving to renew the agreement with DRC Emergency Services, which expires May 2nd, 2025, for a one-year extension to May 2nd, 2026 for debris removal and other emergency services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So every year we come to you with this renewal. We are still eligible to renew and don't have to go back out to RFPs for this one. This is for debris removal in case we have a storm or something of that nature. No cost to the city unless it's activated.
Okay.
If it's activated, how much?
A lot.
I like that answer.
It would vary, and it's based off cubic yardage. Whenever we went out for RFPs for this, I believe we did this one last year, it has a breakdown of the yardage and everything.
Was that the black trucks that were running around here after the hurricane?
Yes, sir. It's the same company.
Okay. I know it was a lot.
Yes.
I move to approve action item F.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Now we're gonna go to consideration of approving to renew the memorandum of understanding with Bay LTD for crane services for the installation and removal of the sea gates and rail gates, which expires May 31st, 2025, for a one-year extension to May 31st, 2025.
Okay, so this one's very similar. This is for, we have to get a crane up on top of those berms to put in the sea gates and the rail gates if we're expecting a significant storm surge, generally over about 5 foot, 6 foot. We don't have the capabilities in-house to do it. So we got this MOU. We've had one in place for a while. We switched last year. We went back out for bids and switched to Bay LTD last year. We did have one install last year, and it went well. The city does have budgeted for one installation and removal or training. We don't expect to do a training this year since we put them in last year. We usually try to alternate those every other year. So that will be kind of on standby. Hopefully we don't have to put them in, but just in case, we do have one installation and removal budgeted.
Okay. I move to approve action item G.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna go to consideration of approving the ordinance amending the City Code of Ordinance, Chapter 19.5, sections 19.5-18, fee schedule for the use of the Aransas Pass Aquatic Center.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item came before you at the workshop. What we are proposing from the Aquatic Center is a slight fee increase for non-resident visitors for this summer and a fee increase to our general admission season pass, which again is unlimited use. And so the pricing is there. It's about $2 for adults and $2 for children in the day pass categories, and the other ranges are there.
Are these the same as we saw last meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All
I
right.
guess we're waiting up with some of the prices.
Hmm?
We're just going up with some of the prices, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, make a motion to approve an ordinance amending the City Code of Ordinances for fee schedule for use of the Aransas Pass Aquatic Center.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to consideration of approving an ordinance amending the City Code of Ordinance, Chapter 19.5, Parks and Recreation, Section 19.5-2, organized activities.
Mayor and Council. So this was another item that was brought up at the workshop, and the amendment made between then and now is we removed the provision of a fee to rent the main pavilion at your request, and so that's been removed. What has stayed in this change is adopting this set of general rules and hours for all of the city parks, and these have to be codified in order for us to post signage and enforce, and so that is why it's before you. There's also just some general housekeeping on park reservations.
Okay.
On the fishing pier, there's not a closing time on that, is there? It's open 24 hours, correct?
The fishing pier, that would be the one at Con Brown.
Uh-huh.
I believe the fishing pier itself is 42 hours, but the park is the normal hours. They're open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. There it says no hourly restriction shall apply to Harbor Point Park. That's the one facility that has a bit of exceptions.
Okay, so people can fish there 24 hours?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay.
I move to approve action item I.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Famous words.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?